Hey everybody, this is 𝙂𝙊𝙇𝘿, Silver Pros, and for today I've got a special topic. We're going to answer a question that many of you guys have, and we know it's very important because we got a response to a question we posed over social media regarding what is the biggest concern that you have right now overall financially or for your investments. And one of the most important responses we got was, I don't know how to manage my portfolio into retirement, when to buy, when to sell, how much to have, what to be in, and how to basically have a retirement. And one of the reasons why people have that concern is most people right now are not able to retire. They're invested in your traditional 401ks, and their house is their biggest single asset in many cases, which actually it's not an asset, it's an expense. And then people have followed this standard advice and they're not able to retire nowadays. That's why many baby boomers and even Gen X is looking at working well into their 70s and 80s and not retiring at 65 or 67 years of age or even earlier. So we're going to give you a very simple answer to this problem. And then we're going to show you at the end of the video how to find more information that we're going to provide you guys to help you through this problem. Today's video is going to be rather simple. I'm going to remove a lot of the complexity and explain in plain English and very easy how you can do this, how you can basically earn your financial freedom through your assets and managing those so that you have enough to retire with the lifestyle that you set forth for yourself. So the name of our presentation today is Financial Freedom, Real World Asset Management Strategies. Execution is not easy is the title of our first slide. Why? What holds us back? Well, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's basically muddled our brains to where we have this fog and we don't know what to do with our investments. There's a lot of conflicting information, a lot of people sitting behind desks whose incentive may be not to help you reach your goals, but for them to reach theirs. And a lot of people who have too much schooling, too many numbers and complex subjects in their heads. And I'm here to say it's much easier than that. What holds us back? Well, first, we don't know the true risks. We've never figured out what the risks are in the system. And when I get into strategies, I'm going to tell you how to assess risks. There's so much market misinformation that it's impossible to really know or to build an effective strategy, because really what it entails is diversification. Go a little bit of this, a little bit of this. And it's like the pray and hold strategy, you know, the spray and pray. You're going to have a machine gun, you're going to spray a bunch of bullets and hopefully you hit your target. There's also social pressure and herd instinct. We're social animals, so we want to do what everybody else does, and that leads to groupthink and everybody doing the same thing. But if nobody's retiring and most people don't even have $400 to pay for repairs or a $400 extra expense every month, why are we following what everybody else is doing? Why are we doing what all the financial media says that hasn't worked for the last 50 years? Why are we doing what everybody else is doing? And they're in the same boat as us. And they're like, I can't retire. I don't know how to manage my assets. I don't even know what assets I should be in. And I don't know when to buy and when to sell. And fourthly, it's the fear of failure. We're so afraid to fail that it's so hard for us to step out on our own. We basically have been through this giant mind fuck in a way, and we're not able to exercise our opinions as individuals and make our own choices. And that's a really big problem, because everybody's financial plan should be a little bit different, and how they get there and what they get into and what they do. The experts are the followers, not the leaders. The experts have been told by banks and brokerage firms and the government what to tell you. For example, if you ever noted anybody who is a CFA or a certified financial planner or had these licenses I used to have, Series 3, 63, 7, all that kind of stuff, if they're going to sell a product, all of that information comes from the market that's selling the product that will make the money off of you from buying it. And it's also coming from these government licensure programs. When you look at the government, do they have any fiscal restraint? No, it is a total train wreck. Why in the hell would you listen to people who are taught by the government how to manage money when the government's never managed their money in the history of the US well at all? And we're on, I think, our fourth currency. The rest have failed. That's asinine and it's crazy and it doesn't work, guys. You follow their plan, you give your money to someone else, you pay others to manage it for you, and you accept whatever results you get because you're told it's better to do this. This is what you do, right? I'm here to tell you that system is designed to keep you poor and make other people rich, and funnel your money into things that that make other people wealthy and keep you poor. That's the way the system was designed. It's designed that way on purpose. It's designed to be complex so you don't understand it. And it's designed to funnel your money so that someone else can use it and make more money off of you. And you're the mule, okay? And they give you a little bit of return. Every once in a while, you think, oh, I'm doing pretty good, because we've been conditioned to think that that's okay. Instead, guys, we need to erase all that. And we need to know that our financial freedom is in our hands, and we don't have to accept what the followers of the government and these banks and other financial entities are telling us we have to do. We need to break free from that. We need to break the mold. We need to get outside of what everybody tells us. It's all garbage. I'm here to tell you that. So wrong plan, wrong people. Here are the problems. Those people that are taking your money get paid based on the product they sell you. I'll give you an example. Somebody that I knew very close to me took some money. She was moving from one job to another. So she had a qualified financial planner, previous employer, rolled her 401k into a bank where they were going to put her into another qualified investment. They were going to become her investment advisor. Well, she told the bank what she wanted. And the bank instead put her money in something completely different that made them a lot more money. Their rates of return on it were higher. She wanted to go into some market-based products that had a little bit of risk attached, but also had higher potential return. She decided what she wanted. She had made her own choice. And here's the problem. She went to these experts, and they instead, without even telling her, made a different choice for her and said, this is better for you. When we went to research it, we found out that their rates of return were higher on that product, and that's why the broker did it, and basically got them to admit it and got them to give her all of her money back. They're more interested in commissions more often than your performance. They're individually motivated to do the best that they can for their families. So they're going to want to put you into products that do better for them. Now, that doesn't mean that they never want to help you reach your goals, because maybe they want you as a lifelong customer, but it means that they're never going to maximize your profits or your returns at the expense of theirs. It is not a symbiotic relationship. When you're investing for yourself, you always are going to pick the best investments for you. When someone else is investing for you, they're always going to pick the one that maximizes their return while trying to keep you as their mule as long as they can by giving you enough scraps to keep you coming back. And they're going to tell you it's so complicated. You better let me do it. I have this complicated degree on the wall and I know what I'm doing. The government who's insolvent has told me I'm an expert. They can't manage their money, but you should listen to me. Their time horizon is different than yours. They want to be able to make a paycheck and make this paycheck every 2 weeks or month of the year until they can retire at whatever age they want to retire, taking as much of the return as they can. Those interests are not aligned with your interests. You may want to retire in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. And you may want to go live on a beach, or you may want to go tour the world, or you may want to go spend time with your grandchildren. Okay. Whatever it is you want to do, you want to go on a concert tour of your favorite bands around the world and follow them around. Whatever that is, your time horizon is different from theirs. So why do you expect them to help you meet your goals? Fourthly, most importantly, they have an employee mentality. Like I said before, they want to make that paycheck. You don't want them investing so that they can make their paycheck. You want them investing, or you want to invest so that you can reach your own goals. So the common theme in the last few slides here, in the last few minutes of the presentation, is you have to separate your motivations and your financial well-being from somebody else's. And only until you do that will you really have a chance at true financial freedom. And it's just the truth. And I know, because I used to be one of those licensed financial people, because I worked in the financial industry and I wanted to learn how to do it. And I quickly realized this whole thing is set up to benefit the financial industry, not the individual. And then when I started investing for myself, I basically retired myself from corporate America ahead of schedule, about 10 years ahead of schedule. I'm running my own business now, making investments, and I'm much, much happier. And you can do it too. If I can do it, you can do it too. I'm not any better or smarter than you are, contrary to what you may think watching this video. I was exactly where you used to be. So the number one key to understanding how to manage your portfolio is not reading the prospectuses of all these complicated investments and doing what somebody else tells you. No, the number one thing is to get into your head to be and act like yourself for your benefit. In other words, the biggest hurdle we have to cross is not understanding how to do calculus on financial investments and do complex math. And it's to do a bunch of research on all this garbage out there that they want you to buy. As soon as you do that and you get into that, you're in their trap and you'll never get out, because it's so complex. It'll take you a lifetime to try to understand. No, it's psychological. Be yourself and take all that garbage and stick it into a bucket and say, I don't want that. That's not for me. You're not going to get me anywhere because I see how you failed the previous generation. They're not retiring. I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I'm taking control. So one, identify your goals. Don't let anybody tell you what your goals should be. You write down on a piece of paper or in a spreadsheet what your goals are, so that you can then determine, one, when you want to get there. Then you can search for investments that will make you rich, not them, and help you get to where you want to go. And then you can use debt strategically along the way. And we'll talk about debt in further videos when we explain this, when we get into specific strategies. So the overall strategy is simple. And I want you guys to memorize this slide. This is the most important slide in the deck. Well, second most important. First is to be yourself and stop worrying about the other guys who are clamoring for your money so they can make themselves rich and be an employee for the rest of life, and strangle you with that approach to where you can never break free because they never want to let you go. Okay. You're their retirement. You're their paycheck. They're never going to want to let you go. You have to break free. The second thing is strategy. It's very simple. 4 pieces to this strategy, 4 steps. 1, do a risk assessment. Understand true risk. Okay. And this is that you don't have to spend hours and days upon this to understanding the risk assessment. You want to understand what your risks are individually. You want to understand what the market risks are. And with a few hours of searching, you can basically figure this out. And you can just watch Gold, Silver, Pros, because we're going to tell you what the market risks are. And then you know what your risks are based upon your timeline and what you want to do. And what would be a risk to that? You just write it down on paper. Very simple. The second is figuring out your asset allocation. This gets a little bit more difficult. You do have to research some of the things that are out there, quickly put away the complex stuff that makes other people rich, and find assets that are going to help you reach your goals. That does take a little bit more work, and we'll expand upon that, in further presentations and help you figure that out, or give you the tools to help you figure that out for yourself. Because again, I don't want to be your financial advisor. I'm not your financial advisor. And the purpose of this video is to empower you to be your own financial advisor and not listen to anybody else. The next is liquidity for each asset. You need to figure out how liquid they are. In other words, can you get in? Can you get out at the drop of a hat? How liquid of each asset is it that you need to be? How much liquidity do you need to have at a point in time? Because that leads to number 4, the exit strategy for each asset. Based upon the risk assessment, you may need to get out of assets sooner rather than later. And your risk assessment can change over time when you look at this complex world, right? I mean, that's what our channel is all about, is looking at the complex risk in the financial system: inflation, debt collapse, currency problems, wars, scams that are going on, in the financial markets, all that kind of stuff. That goes in your risk assessment. So you want to know how liquid each of your assets is in case you need to execute that exit strategy quicker rather than later. So you need to have a little bit of flexibility in your timeline. Once you figure out these 4 things, that's your strategy. Now, all you got to do is identify those assets in step 2 that help you meet your strategy. That's it, guys. You don't have to go sign up for a complex. You don't have to go sign up for a complex set of exams. You don't have to take advanced college math. You don't have to do any of that garbage. Leave that garbage to the wage slaves, the employees who are going to be doing this for the rest of their life and never getting out of the rat race. You don't want to do that. Make it simple. Keep it simple. The KISS principle. So teach yourself quickly. Look at all your options. Okay. Just look at them. I don't mean study them and understand how they work from a mathematical perspective. Just understand what the options are. Survey the market. Establish your own criteria for what you want to invest in. Yes or no. You may like real estate. You may like bullion. You may like stock. You may like a lot of things. Your criteria, not someone else's. Understand counterparty risk. Each asset has more or less counterparty risk. Think of it on a timeline or just a line. Less risk here, more risk here. Understand counterparty risk of every asset and put it on this little chart. Okay. What is counterparty risk? It's any risk which comes from someone else that you cannot control. Very simply defined. It's a counterparty risk if somebody else controls that risk and can inflict that risk on your financial well-being to you without you being able to control it. That's counterparty risk. And boy, does that cover a lot of risks. Watch the channel and we talk about counterparty risk all the time. It's one of our focuses. Next is know when to hold them or know when to fold them. Okay. Know when to get in and out. And that takes a little bit of expertise. But again, if you keep it simple, it's not that hard. Lastly, forget the jargon, follow the money. Forget all the complex financial terms that they're going to teach you. Follow the money. Follow where the money goes, who's making the money, how to make the money, and you'll figure out what you need to get in and out of in your own financial portfolio. That does it, everybody, for the screen share. So I wanted to reiterate, the number one thing that you got to do when you're planning for your retirement and managing your portfolio is not diving down into prospectuses and memorizing every page of Yahoo Finance and knowing everything about everything. It's not, because once you get into that trap, you're in their system, you're in the matrix, the financial matrix, and you can't get out. Your brain won't let you get out. You're focused on looking at the one or two trees instead of the forest. Break out all of that, okay? Be yourself. Psychologically change your mindset from you never need another person to tell you what to do. Now, that doesn't mean you don't want to research a ton of sources. That doesn't mean you want to listen to a lot of opinions to help you make your decision. It's just know that you don't need to depend upon another man or woman to do for you. You do the work, because it will be relatively easy once you do the 4-step execution plan that we talked about in the presentation. Now, I think that there's a lot more that goes into this. So what I'm going to do is a series of videos. I'm going to break down each one of those strategy steps into more detail, and I'm really going to break it down for you. I'm going to talk to you about each one. We're going to talk about specific investments. We're going to talk about specific strategies. I'm just going to give you research. I'm not going to tell you what to do throughout the whole thing in these follow-up videos. What I want you to do is just focus on what works for you. I'm going to hand you information, and I'm going to say, go do some homework, and you're going to do homework, and you're going to figure it out for yourself. Don't let me be your financial advisor. That's not what I'm here for. What I'm here is to change your mindset, to get into a freedom-oriented mindset. Stop letting any other man or woman tell you what to do, tell you what your goals should be, tell you what your lifestyle should be, tell you what your choices should be, because every time they do, they take a chain and a stake in the ground, and they stake you into the ground to where you're a chain slave and you will never get out of it for the rest of your life. Stop listening to everybody else. Okay, this is one of the areas in your life in which you want to be what I call a contrarian. And that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be extreme end of the spectrum from everybody else. I just mean, as a contrarian, you want to think for yourself and do for yourself and not comply with everybody else. Okay, don't listen to your family or your friends. Don't even listen to me on specific strategies. Do for yourself, and you will experience freedom. And what you'll figure out very quickly, and this is what I figured out, first of all, you don't need quite as much money as you need to retire, because you figure out ways to make your money really work for you when you get into businesses and really good investments. You don't need as much as you think. And then you're going to start leaving behind some of the material possessions you don't really care about because they don't help you meet your strategy. And you start finding joy in simple things like having freedom, being around the friends that you want to be, having money to do what you want to do when you want to do it, and not being a wage slave. So much of being an employee and a wage slave leads you down the road of, I have to have all these external things to be happy. Well, once you get your freedom, you realize those external things were never making you happy. They were temporary caffeine highs, right? They were temporary highs to help you deal with your depression of being a damn slave your whole life and not being able to think for yourself and making everybody else happy and not making yourself happy. Once you have that psychological break where you realize your happiness is first and foremost, and that of your family that you love, your close family that you're helping to take care of and be a part of, and you stop focusing on all the other garbage, that's number one. And that will make it so much easier for you to reach your goals. Your goals will change, your objectives will change, your needs will change, and you will, for the first time, be an expression of your true self, not of what somebody else tells you what to be, but of your true self. This is so very important. I cannot emphasize this enough to you guys. It's so very important. So that has been the introductory video. I put a lot of good information in there. This was designed to reprogram your brain to stop thinking the way they taught you to think, which we know is not working because the whole financial system is a god-awful mess. Stop listening to the idiots in government who ever tell you anything because they can't run their own damn budget. Stop listening to the financial planners who are there to make money off of you and to retire at 65, hopefully with some retirement, chaining you with them along the way to help them reach their dreams, and their dreams are not your dreams. Stop listening and paying people to be your financial advisor. You have to learn, but there are simple ways to do it. I'm going to teach you some of that. This has been the introductory video. For those of you who are interested in learning more, what I'm going to do, like I said, is break down each step. Going to put each one into its own video, and we're going to put that up for the people that support us on Patreon. And the reason I'm doing that is because with that support, I'm able to bring you an immense amount of research, basically for free. And so a lot of the content that we put out on YouTube and Twitter and at all, and the ability to go to conferences is because we have people supporting us. Okay. So 95% of what we do is absolutely free to you guys. And I bring you the best experts. I go to the best conferences and provide you the best research. And that 5% are people that support us, which allow us to do that. So we're going to put the details of this into Patreon. We're going to do follow-up videos for those who are on Patreon. And then later on, we'll start to release some of this for the rest of you guys on the free channel as well. But remember, number one thing, break out of the mold, be yourself. 4 simple steps to executing a strategy. It will blow your mind. It will change everything about the way that you view life, not just your finances. And that's the first step. The first step is deprogramming yourself. The second step is then very simple, laying out a strategy, learning about each of the options and executing that strategy. It's not difficult at all. What I want to hear from you guys down in the comments of this YouTube video is, what are your concerns? Put your concerns. Let's get a conversation started over where you are, maybe even get some specifics. What assets you're in? Are they helping you meet your goals, not meet your goals? Let's talk about it on the channel. And I'm going to use that to come back to you guys with some examples and more information to help you guys, through these troubled times. We're going through troubled economic times, but there are strategies so that 1, we can survive the economic times, but 2, we can thrive in them and be completely happy and completely engaged and realize our full value as self, as our individual self through that process. And that's why I wanted to do the video, to answer that question. I know people are stressed about their finances, how to invest, where to invest, how to get in, how to get out, how to do this, how to do that. You guys are worrying about all the details. Let's start off and say, let's just flush all that and let's start to talk about these strategies. And that's what we're going to do here on the channel. So I hope you guys appreciated this presentation. Put your comments down there, your questions down there. And again, we'll come back and answer some of those in subsequent videos. Appreciate it. Until next time, this is Rob Kientz with goldsilverpros.com. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We appreciate it. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and hit that notification button so you get those notifications when new content comes out. If you like what we're doing here, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Those members of Patreon will get extra special content delivered to them as well.